Phil, a good pre-season win today, and it could have been by a greater margin as well, in fairness.
Yes, it could have been. Without getting carried away, it was a good performance, to be fair. The most important things are, as I've said before, injuries in pre-season, and we picked up a little bit of a one today when Brownie came off after about 15-20 minutes when we got the penalty, and that's the most disappointing part of the game. Having won the game and won the game comfortably, everything sort of hones in and narrows down on one thing in that moment when Brownie went through. His ankle swelled up, and it's going to be okay, long term. But I haven't got a clue how long it's going to be. With a bit of luck, it'll be. Hopefully, he'll have a decent day's rest tomorrow and be back on training ground Monday, Tuesday. I don't know, but it concerned me when he went down and came off. But as a fine young man, and I'm going to describe him as that because he's made the right decision. A lot of kids would have just carried on, and young players would have just carried on thinking, well, if I don't, I'm going to lose my place, and where does that put me? Where does that stand me? Last year he played all 18 games. I think he was one of the ones that played all 18 games under my tenure, and he doesn't want to miss a match. He doesn't want, and he's getting better. There's no doubt about it. And I would like to have seen him for the full 90 minutes against Newport, who were a very decent side. But yeah, I was pleased with the way the game evolved. Again, the pitch was conducive to teams playing football, which both sides tried to. Hopefully that'll be synonymous of a National League North game at Agbra, where we can pass it because the surface allows you to pass it. But the opposition might probably play a little bit differently. Getting our faces a little bit more. And we've got to be able to stand up against that. But I think we've pieced together this pre-season with that in mind. The game against Tamworth springs to mind. The game against Micklehove springs to mind. These are the games where you're probably learning more lessons about your side than what you are when you win games like we did today. So all in all, I sort of honed in on a negative before I started, but positively, I'd say 95% of it was very, very positive. The way we played, the way we passed it, the fitness levels, the subs coming on, the trialists. It's endless. The list is endless. I think Alex Penny needed a full game, and we got that out of him. Paul Downing alongside him. Rhys McNally was talking about a tightened groin at half time. I was going to bring him off after 45 minutes, but I wanted to see Rhys probably get as many minutes under his belt as he possibly could, do it right back, which again puts a little bit of pressure on Joe, who was sitting in the stand watching. And again, Digger Davis was watching the way the midfield rotated and passed the ball and the energy levels. Samson got a surprising 45 to 50 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer than that. So a lot of boxes ticked today, from a personal point of view, from an individual point of view, and a collective. And hopefully over 1,000 fans turning up here for a pre-season friendly would have gone away with a frame of mind that we might be okay this year. But again, don't get carried away with it. It's pre-season.
And at the other end, there was a real determination to keep a clean sheet as well, wasn't there? Not to suggest that isn't important in pre-season, but you could tell there was a desire for that, wasn't there, not to concede?
I think. Listen, I was talking to these two players in particular in the change room before, and I knew Andy Dibble very, very well, and I know what his son's like now, having had an opportunity to work with him towards the end of last season and then re-signed for us in a pre-season with him. He's come back in a sharp frame of mind, and what I mean by that is the mentality of a goalkeeper is probably more important than the physicality at times. Excuse me. They're different from outfield players. We can run 10-15 kilometres a day. They've got to bounce their bodies up, who are the big lads. They've got to bounce their bodies off the ground over 100 times a day to make saves and stuff like that. So it's a different mindset, it's a different position. There's no doubt about it. And the other one being Luke Summerfield. I knew Kevin very well, locked horns with him a couple of times, and I was talking to them two before the game, and played against and worked with and worked against their fathers, and it's great when you can have that connection with these two young lads. But they've got the right mentality, and I tell you what, the young lads at this football club just need to latch on to anything that they're thrown at them, because they're given good pieces of advice. Couple that with the likes of Digger Davis and Hemo and Amari Morgan-Smith, you know, we've got some good experienced lads who know, you know, they've been around the block a couple of times, and they know exactly what the game can throw at you. So there's a nice blend of youthful exuberance and the energy levels, and the old heads, and yeah, it's been a good day at the office, no doubt about it. When you beat a league team, you've got to take some kind of credit or credibility from that game. But again, let's not get carried away. I've said to the players, don't get carried away with it. You know, it's a good performance, and we applied ourselves, but there is one little negative, that we lost one of our midfield players who was never present for me last year. So you've got to balance the book in your own head, you know.
You mentioned Digger and Joe, obviously. Is it just a case of managing their injuries, and obviously perhaps not serious, but just important to take care now while you can?
Well, the beauty of all three injuries, if you want to talk about Brownie today, Digger and Joe, is they're all impact. They're not muscular. There's no pulls, there's no tears. They're stronger, they're fitter. They're in the gym, working regular, you know, at the foundry just around the corner from us. Diggers is a bruised foot, so that was an impact injury. Joe's is blisters, but he's got four or five blisters, and I know what blisters are like. They're horrible, and it's difficult for him to run because of them. So we're going to get rid of them first. So that's impact, if you like, the impact of a boot. And obviously today Brownie is an impact injury as well. So that's the beauty of it. I'm looking at the 6 weeks. We're coming into the final 2 week stretch, so we're not there yet. We've still got 2 games to go. Villa behind closed doors on Thursday, and obviously a Stoke City 11 that coming to Agbra next week. But come the final week, hopefully we'll have everybody on the training ground, and then I'll have a full team to pick from, and that's the biggest part of the job.